After 3 years, my pocket mini sketchbook is finally complete, and the time has come to sit down and share it with you guys. Hello everyone, it's Jess here. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Welcome to another sketchbook tour. You guys love these, I love making these, so let's get started. This sketchbook is a pocket mini sketchbook from Moleskine. It's super cute, super small, and is part of a growing collection of sketchbooks that I have completed. If you've watched my previous sketchbook tours on my channel, you know that I like to work larger, but a few years back I had purchased this small version to carry with me on the go, so whenever I hadn't had the chance to bring something larger, this is the little guy I brought with me. Okay, so inside the front cover, I like to start off with a little quote for this sketchbook. I went with one by Dr. Seuss, which is a huge inspiration of mine. I chose "Oh, the Places You'll Go" because I initially designated the sketchbook to be with me wherever I go, since it is a little pocket sketchbook, and also just to set some positive vibes and just to aim higher. I started this one February 2018 and I finished it this February 2021. So you guys will see some older pieces in here as well as the new ones. Flipping to the first spread, I decided to start off bold and strong with some fishies, and I actually used mixed media for this. I like to do my little line work designs, so I used ballpoint pen and red color pencil as well as red ink. I feel like the first spread is always something that we try to make super extravagant, so I just tried to do things that felt natural to me and just zoned out and did a very intricate detailed drawing. And also just doing what felt good. Okay, moving on to the next spread. This is an ink drawing of the New York State Capitol in Albany, New York. I was exploring the area and visiting, so I decided to capture the moment just to show you guys. That's the photo up there at the very top, and I really focused in on some really nice details here. Again, zoning out and just using my ink pen to create all those little details. And just to show you to size, that's me in the photo. Here is a spread I did on the B train. I had commuted to school every single day for about 10 years from high school up until college. I spent about an hour and a half each day on the train, so it was a big part of my day. So I did do a lot of drawings on there and I decided to record the moment. Here in this spread, I just did a doodle of a girl holding sunflowers. I do draw from life a lot, but I also like to take some time and doodle from my head and see what imaginary things I can create. And you'll see more of that experimentation in the sketchbook. Here is a mixed media piece, half pencil, half paint, of the view that I actually see going to the train on my way from school. This was a few years back, but every time I look at a piece that I create, I am instantly brought back to the moment. And it's such a beautiful view every single time I walk past from school, so again, decided to record that moment. On the next pages, I just decided to play around with random messy marks with markers. Playing around with the bright colors that I had in my set, I just sat and doodled away. I remember specifically thinking about using colors that I don't normally use here, so that is what I was playing around with in this spread. At this time, I was just experimenting with drawing some portraits and actually drawing people on the subway. So here is a spread of me using my brush pen and a little bit of ballpoint pen to capture some people that I saw in public on the subway. Again, like I said, I commuted on the train almost 3 hours per day, so I did a lot of sketching on the subway and I quite enjoyed it very much. Here is an oil painting sketch that I did in my sketchbook, and I really focused on some textures and only using ultramarine and burnt umber and white. And as you can see, it bled through the back since I did not gesso the paper. But hey, I learned my lesson and now I always gesso, which I have a video on, so be sure to check that out. Here is a pencil sketch of a city in Italy, and I wanted to capture the building that is right behind the two, and I was really feeling architecture and playing around with perspective. It was a really great way for me to zone out and also practice. And after studying abroad in Italy, I just kept revisiting my love for it. It just holds a very special place in my heart. And this little kitty right here is Matilda. She's my cat, and she also holds a very special place in my heart. I was actually studying abroad and haven't met her yet, but my family had sent me a picture of this cat and was like, hey, we got a cat. So I decided to draw her for the first time in my sketchbook. I do have an oil painting video of me painting her recently, so you guys can check that out if you haven't already done so. Here's a little portrait I did with some bright fuchsia and magenta colors. And right beside it, some more architectural sketches of the Napoli port terminal in Italy. And I love this little plane I captured at the top, but it was a really nice memory to capture, and looking back at this, I am instantly brought back to that moment. Here I used a color ballpoint pen and some pencil to create these sketches of portraits from life. I'm constantly captivated by my surroundings and people around me, so if I ever see someone or something that is super interesting, I am instantly inspired to get to sketching. So I love playing around with the blue hair and the colored faces, so I ended up experimenting more with those colors here. These are all done before I did my 100 heads challenge or anything of that sort recently, so it's really nice to look back and see how I approached and experimented with portraits before. And wow, look at those colors. I really love them, and you know what? I'm gonna get back to doing that again. Looking at your work and analyzing it and seeing what you liked and don't like about it can really help you with improving your work in the present. Here are some more little contour line drawings, super quick, of some people that I saw in public on the subway. There is always so much to see and so much to record, but one of my favorite pieces in the sketchbook is of this piece that I like to call Morning Gossip. And one day there were these two ladies on the train that were gossiping super loud on the train. They were probably the loudest of the bunch on the train, and I decided to capture their character and their look, so I really liked how I did that with the brush pen here. And yes guys, this is all happening in the moment on the train. It was so fun to observe and draw on the spot. Here I just experimented with some more bright colors and little shapes while I contrasted them with some portraitures that I tried. A blind contour drawing on the right where I didn't lift off the pen off the paper. And yeah, these are just some words of positivity all around. I like to mix different elements of realism, some abstract shapes, and maybe some typography sometimes in my sketchbook just to have a little bit of everything. And I guess that just comes on the fly. Another spread with some really bright colors, along with some people that I saw on the New York City subway, some contour drawings as well as brush pen work, and just trying to get those drawings in as fast as possible before the people leave the train. In this drawing, I just doodled from my imagination. Just used a pencil for this and just experimented with my own mind and tried not pressuring myself and just creating from whatever I feel. And I ended up realizing I love drawing certain elements, so this was definitely a good sketch for me. And yep, you guessed it, another New York City writer. Here's another person I saw on the subway. This was really late at night one day that I took the train home from a night class and everybody was sleeping on the train, but I was up drawing. After a full day of classes and art classes, I was still extremely inspired to keep drawing in my sketchbook and creating. So why not do it on the ride home? This sketch is a very experimental sketch that I created here after moving down to Florida. I was actually at the beach and saw someone laying down meditating, and I also have started to get into meditation myself, so I decided to capture all the different elements that sort of surround this person while they're meditating, and I think that it came out really interesting with all the lines. This was a really quick little sketch with ballpoint pens, a lot of people basking in the sun. I was at the beach and someone actually shouted out, "The sun feels so good." So that's what I wrote at the very bottom. It's the truth. So yeah, just capturing another moment with some more people. Can you tell that I love drawing portraits, guys? Here are some more head drawings with ballpoint pen, bit more detailed this time using lots of little cross hatches, and I was focusing on staying loose with the cross hatches but also trying to get as many details as possible in. Here's a little watercolor painting I did at the end of 2020 on a little snowboarding trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I was actually sitting in my snowboarding gear, taking a break by the fireplace and painting. I put this little sketchbook in my pocket and I ended up painting in freezing weather, and while I was dipping my paintbrush into water, it was immediately turning into ice as how cold it was. But if there's a chance to paint from life or draw from life, you know I'm going to take it. The little drawing on the left is the fireplace that we had in the home that we stayed, and this painting on the right is a hallway that I actually sat in and took a break at. It's a place called the Four Seasons, and I don't know, I just really loved the mood and sort of the lighting that was at the end of the hallway, so I ended up catching that. I literally sat on the floor and painted, and then after at the restaurant there's a little bar area that I ended up meeting some really cool people and drawing this girl here. My friends went back snowboarding and I ended up taking the day off and just resting to paint by the bar. So my sketchbook is like my little time capsule of moments, and instead of taking photos I like to capture them in my sketchbook. And a little fun fact, this girl's boyfriend reached out to me and ended up surprising her with a custom print. So I ended up sending those and it was awesome. So I was in the mountains for a few days, and of course I had to do some more painting up on the mountain while I was snowboarding. So that is the painting from there. And oops, I realized I didn't finish writing handlebar, but that's the place where I sketched. So I just recorded Jackson Hole to keep the memories going. On the next spread, I kind of missed painting my art supplies, and I just recently got these new travel brushes, which by the way I love, and they have this little cute short handle, so I experimented with some bright colors and painted with gouache. Some more experimentation with portraits and bright colors, limited color schemes, you guys know I love those. I have a whole video where I paint these two, so you can check that one out. Here I just did some little frog studies. I used my handy dandy rainbow pencil that you can't control which color comes out, so it's really fun to draw with. I love how after you complete a drawing, you see all those colors intertwined with one another. These are also pretty recent, and it's really interesting to see my work develop through these years. On the next page is one of my favorite little drawings in my sketchbook as well. I did this completely out of my head, which is something I've been practicing lately. Is just intuitive drawing and letting my pen or pencil just flow. So I played around with lots of little shapes and colors that I wouldn't normally grab, and I have decided that I want to spend more time experimenting with strictly imagination drawing. But of course, you still have to practice from life, so I chose to draw my friend's dog. Her name is Roxy. I used a limited color palette with acrylic gouache, and here she is. She's super cute, and I absolutely love her little nose and face, so I just decided to do a quick portrait of her from life. Ugh, just look at that face. I just can't. She's so adorable. And I am very pleased with the way the painting came out. Now, the two things that I always preach are love and positivity. So Valentine's Day is one of my favorite holidays. So I just drew this inspired holiday portrait, and I realized I've been really gravitating towards red lately. So you're going to see a little bit of red sketches approaching here as well. Some more drawings from life on the beach, and some more mixed media with using some dry brush around to paint the background, and then some ballpoint pen for the people themselves. I drew this couple right on location. They were so cute. I don't know, they were just positioned perfectly, and I haven't drawn in my sketchbook that day, so I decided to practice. This spread originated with the help of my Instagram followers. I always want to find ways to interact with you guys, so I posted a little post of what I should paint, and you guys submitted so many responses. I chose some few random ones, and this is the little composition that came from it. I've been really into mixed media as always, so I did some pencils, some gouache. So thank you guys so much for all of the interactive responses. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely want to do it again. And I also really want to go live on Instagram, so find me on there if you haven't already, and stay tuned for some announcements. Moving on to the next spread was another really popular request of a flamingo. And guys, I love flamingos. I think they're so beautiful, so I wanted to incorporate my flowy black and white line work that I enjoy doing, and I just created this little composition, which I feel is simple yet effective. And for the last spread of my sketchbook, I decided to end it with a quote from a book that I'm currently reading. I chose this one, and it says, "There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge." We really can achieve so much as long as we are determined and we don't stop ourselves. So I wanted to finish off my sketchbook and my sketchbook tour with this video with a quote that will motivate to keep going and stay determined. Remember guys that the sky is the limit and you can do anything you set your mind to. And that is the end of this little mini pocket sketchbook. I had so much fun creating this and sharing this and showing you guys a little piece of my world. The collection and memories and the journey keeps growing, so thank you so much for being here, watching, and supporting. I'll have some links of where else you can find me, like Patreon, as well as my website, where you can have an even closer look into my art world. I hope you guys are staying motivated, I hope you're staying creative, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!